Well, fatal phone call, more information about Sean Grayson's disciplinary record and issues in law enforcement are coming to light. Today, we obtained an audio recording of a conversation between Sean Grayson and a Logan County chief deputy. Now, that conversation happened after Grayson ignored a direct order. Fox's Carson Gordy joins us after scanning through documents and audio recordings. Carson?
The conversation happened after Sean Grayson was involved in a high-speed chase that ended with him hitting a deer. It happened in November of 2022. Grayson had been a Logan County Sheriff's deputy for 7 months. During the conversation, Logan County Chief Deputy Nate Miller questioned Grayson about inaccuracies in his police reports and says he thinks he knows why his previous employer, the Auburn Police Department, did not prosecute multiple of his cases arresting people.
Sean, I'm going to have a hard, straight-up conversation with you right now. I have a strong feeling I know why they were dropped. They dropped your cases because of what I'm looking at right here. If we can't trust what you say and what you see, we can't have you in our uniform.
He was employed for 5 months after this incident. Sangamon County hired Grayson right after he left Logan County. They said they were not provided these documents. I'm Carson Gordy. Back to you.
Thanks, Carson. Now, Grayson worked at 4 other law enforcement agencies before being hired in Logan County. Coming up tonight, hear from Sean Grayson. Well, meanwhile, the Fraternal Order of Police Labor Council's grievance filed against the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office over Sean Grayson's firing will not move forward. Ben Crump, the attorney representing Sonia Massey's family, applauding that decision today.
Just over now, about an hour before this press conference, Teresa handed that the police union withdrew their grievance to reinstate Deputy Grayson. That's what happens when we stand together. Justice for Sonia Massey.
And in a statement, the Labor Council says the grievance was filed because they were following their own internal processes that applied to all members, including Grayson. Now, Grayson was hired at the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office at a time when a shortage of police officers continues to be a problem nationwide. Some are now concerned the recent shooting of Sonia Massey will make it harder to recruit new officers. Fox's Julia Rosier has more with the details. Julia?
Carolina, that's right. I spoke with 2 statewide agencies dedicated to the well-being of officers across the state. Now, they both tell me that departments are still struggling to recruit and maintain officers on their staff, sometimes even leading to desperation hires.
I think certainly, when we have instances like we've just had, does not make it any easier. That certainly brings people a question, okay, well, do I really want to get into this profession?
The nation continues to experience a shortage of police officers.
It's scary. It's not always safe. Those are challenges that everybody's got to try to deal with in their own minds as to whether or not that's an experience that they want to go through in terms of being in law enforcement.
Both the Sheriff's Association and Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police say recruiting and maintaining officers isn't easy. Police departments have had to try new ways to recruit candidates, like using social media or developing relationships with candidates to show them what it's like to work at the department.
It's still tough getting out there trying to find qualified candidates. You just have to dig a little deeper, search a little harder, and change up the ways you do things.
Some say although police recruitment is improving, agencies are still struggling to find qualified officers.
It's not a Monday through Friday job. You can't work remote. It's a challenging job where, a bad decision can, ruin your life, ruin your career, But to go along with that, it's also a very rewarding career.
Both agencies say police departments always try to look for the best candidates possible.
Does a shortage of officers kind of lead to more desperation hiring?
I think it's certainly, if you've got less of a pool of people to pull from, you've got less people to pull from. They still have to maintain certain minimum qualifications. You probably run the risk potentially of more people going into this profession that might have at one point in time not made it into this profession.
At the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office, they have 1 vacant deputy position that's been open since the end of this past June. Sheriff Jack Campbell says while they are actively recruiting, they do have a smaller pool of applicants to choose from. Reporting live in Springfield, I'm Julia Rosier. Back to you.
Thanks, Julia. Sheriff Campbell also says that when a deputy leaves or retires, it can take up to 8 months before the position is filled and the deputy is out working on their own. Now you can find more coverage on Sonia Massey's death and the ongoing criminal case over on our website, foxillinois.com. We'll also have the latest update on air and on our social media pages. Well, we're continuing to work for you and dig deeper into the death of Sonia Massey. More information about former Deputy Sean Grayson's disciplinary record and issues in law enforcement are now coming to light. Grayson is facing multiple charges, including first-degree murder in connection to Sonia's death. He has pleaded not guilty to all charges and is set to return to court in August. Now, today we obtained an audio recording of a conversation between Sean Grayson and a Logan County Chief Deputy. Fox Illinois Carson Gordy joins us with what they reveal. Carson?
The conversation happened after Sean Grayson was involved in a high-speed chase that ended with him hitting a deer and damaging a squad car.
7 months on, how are you still employed by us?
I don't know.
Sean, do you understand what I am saying?
Yes, I do, sir.
In November of 2022, then Logan County Deputy Sean Grayson had a meeting with the Chief Deputy, Nate Miller. It was over an incident that started with Grayson wanting to pull over a female who looked, in quote, suspicious.
I just needed to wait for them to start the vehicle.
You were going to stop them for just their behavior in the vehicle?
No, I mean, I was going to wait for a traffic violation, but in my mind, that was the whole reason I was going to see what they were doing. It was just the reaction of the female in the truck.
This led to a high-speed pursuit that Grayson was ordered to terminate. He ignored that order, going as fast as 110 miles per hour before striking a deer. After that event, Grayson was ordered to write a report that Logan County said had multiple inaccuracies. Grayson says he did not review the body cam footage before writing it.
You got a report writing violation for policy. You got an accuracy violation for policy. You got a standard of conduct violation for policy, and we're 48 seconds into this.
The Chief Deputy says that Grayson, while working at his previous job, the Auburn Police Department, arrested some people who were not prosecuted by the state's attorney, and he thinks he knows why.
Sean, I'm going to have a hard, straight-up conversation with you right now. I have a strong feeling I know why they were dropped. They dropped your cases because of what I'm looking at right here. If we can't trust what you say and what you see, we can't have you in our uniform.
Grayson was warned that it's vital to be accurate.
But a lot of officers have been charged and end up in jail because that's what they perceived. Official misconduct will land you in jail.
In the final report, Logan County did state that Grayson appeared to be honest during the interview and acknowledged his inability to recall from memory alone. Sangamon County hired Grayson after his tenure at Logan County. They said they were not provided these documents and were not aware of them. Both Sangamon County and Logan County did not comment on why they were not exchanged when I reached out to them today. I'm Carson Gordy. Back to you.
Thanks, Carson. We will have the full audio recording of this meeting on our website, foxillinois.com. Now, the shortage of police officers continues to be a problem nationwide. Some are now concerned the recent shooting of Sonia Massey will make it harder to recruit new officers.
I think certainly, when we have instances like we've just had, does not make it any easier. That certainly brings people a question, okay, well, do I really want to get into this profession?
Officials say police departments have had to try new ways to recruit candidates, like using social media or developing relationships with candidates to show them what it's like to work at the department. Now, a grievance was issued against the Sangamon County Sheriff's Department by the Fraternal Order of Police's Labor Council on behalf of Sean Grayson. After an internal evaluation, the council says they are no longer pursuing the grievance. In a statement, the Labor Council says the grievance was filed because they were following their own internal process that applied to all members, including Grayson. Now today, attorney Ben Crump speaking to the public in Chicago alongside Sonia's family. During his speech, Crump applauds the decision announced by the Labor Council.
We were just going over now about an hour before this press conference to recent Haley that the police union withdrew their grievance to reinstate Deputy Grayson. That's what happens when we stand together. Justice for Sonia Massey.
A civil rights activist Reverend Al Sharpton also speaking during the conference and continued to push for the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. Now, Sangamon County officials say they were not confused about if the gunshot that killed Sonia Massey was self-inflicted. This comes after confusion on the 911 dispatch about whether the gunshot was self-inflicted. Officials say they are aware that the phrase self-inflicted was used by radio dispatchers and others at certain times, but that those on scene knew Sonia Massey's cause of death. Officials also say former Deputy Sean Grayson stated at least twice in the body camera video that he was the shooter. Well, after the death of Sonia Massey, United States Senator Tammy Duckworth has introduced a bill that would incentivize state's attorney offices to allow other agencies to prosecute cases of police-involved use of deadly force. She says it would help eliminate conflict of interest. The senator said in a statement, in part, quote, "Factors such as close relationships between local prosecutors and police departments can hinder independent investigations and impact the pursuit of charges and convictions." Now, we reached out to Sangamon County to ask whether State's Attorney John Millhiser would have a conflict of interest prosecuting Sean Grayson and whether they support another county handling this case. We have not heard back at this time. Well, the community voicing their concerns over the death of Sonia Massey. The U.S. Department of Justice held a community healing and listening session to ask the community feedback on how to improve police communication with the county. Many residents are saying they are scared of law enforcement and are now afraid to call the police, with many pleading for things to change.
I live alone, and even though I already preferred not to call the police, I'm definitely not calling you now.
Several residents voicing their concerns over the death of Sonia Massey, with many saying they live in fear.
I'm nervous to be here. I am anxious to stand in this room because people are afraid and we're mad. And this should not be.
The U.S. Department of Justice asked the community how they feel about the recent events in Sangamon County and how they recommend improving police communications. Their recommendations included rebuilding trust by reviewing hiring and background check processes.
Something needs to change, and that change starts at the hiring process, which is done by you.
Other recommendations including mental health evaluations as well as drug testing for officers. But most importantly, the overall message was to vote for new law enforcement officials. Now, residents also asked that law enforcement be held to the same standard as other jobs, such as first responders, when it comes to the hiring process. Now, a ride for Sonia Massey is set for August 3rd. Here's a look at the Facebook post now. It will happen during the National Biker Roundup. Lineup time is at 2 p.m. with kickstands going up at 2:30. Riders are set to meet on East Cook Street in Springfield.
Don't miss a video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel today for more Central Illinois news.